Hello, Wonderhussy here, out in the middle of nowhere, on the edge of Death Valley, at home in Tacopa. Well, not at home. I left the house to come over and check out probably the most popular tourist attraction in this whole area, China Ranch Date Farm. China Ranch is a hidden gem of the Mojave Desert that can only be reached by a narrow dirt road that winds through a stark canyon so utterly devoid of plant life, it seems impossible it could lead to an oasis. But just as you're starting to question your GPS, the road opens up at the bottom of the canyon, and the landscape changes dramatically. Man, I absolutely love that road. But if you've never been here before, it's kind of like, where am I going? What am I doing? Am I going to be able to get out of here? But then you come out here at the bottom, and it's like, This is what I imagine it must be like to stumble upon an oasis after crossing the vast Sahara on your camels. It's just totally unexpected. Anyway, believe it or not, just about any car can handle this road. I mean, I wouldn't take a full-size RV down here, but it's very well graded. So don't let that stop you from coming down here and checking this place out for yourself. I'm telling you, this is one of the coolest hidden gems in the entire Mojave Desert, and it just happens to be right in my backyard. Now, I've shot stuff here before, but today I was invited to come down for a behind-the-scenes tour from the guy responsible for the whole operation, Brian Brown. Hey, Brian.
Hi, Sarah. How are you?
I'm doing fine. Thanks for inviting us over here. So this is your ranch?
It is, China Ranch. It's a date farm, the only one in Inyo County, and the farthest north date farm in North America, actually.
And how long have you been running this place?
I have been here since 1979.
79? How did you end up in a place like this?
My car wouldn't start, and
Oh, that sounds like the lady from the Ambergris Opera House. Hold on a minute, Brian.
Yeah, Marta. No, my family's been in this area since 1903, and so eventually circumstances allowed me to come here, and with my late wife Bonnie, and start figuring out how to make a living at China Ranch.
Where did you move here from?
Well, I came here from Hawaii, actually.
You left Hawaii to come to the middle of the desert?
Well, I actually had come back from Hawaii. I was living in Shoshone, working in a mine in Death Valley when I moved to the ranch. I'd met my wife in Hawaii. She was from there. That was the tough sell. I had to convince her to come to Tacopa, the horsefly capital of the world, to follow me on this grand adventure, and she did.
That's right. Back in 1979, Brian somehow sweet-talked his beautiful young wife Bonnie into moving to a crumbling old ranch on the edge of Death Valley. Because this is a natural oasis, settlers had been trying to farm cattle and alfalfa down here for years, but it was just too hot and too far out in the middle of nowhere. In the 1890s, a Chinese borax miner had some success raising livestock, hay, fruits, and vegetables, but he mysteriously disappeared in 1900, and not much is known about him. Even his real name. We don't know his name?
Well, the white people called him Afu.
Okay.
And they initially called it the Chinaman's Ranch, and that eventually was shortened to China Ranch.
Okay, so all of these other people tried and failed down here. What made you think that you could do it any different?
Well, it was actually my wife's idea. I was growing hay and losing money like everyone else, and she said, "Hey, dummy, you're selling hay for $80 a ton. I'm selling dates for the old grove for $3 or $4 a pound. Why don't we plant more dates?"
Okay, I guess when Brian and Bonnie first moved to the ranch, there already happened to be a few shaggy old date palms planted by one of the previous residents. And Brian took me out to the orchard to show me where it all started.
So that over to the right there is the old ranch house. That was built, we think, in the 1920s.
1920s.
Uh-huh.
So were the people who originally started this place like your family, your relatives?
No, well, my great aunt and uncle owned it in the late teens and early 20s, and then they sold it in the mid 20s and left. And it went through many different owners, came back up for sale again in 1969, and my father and his sister, my aunt, purchased it together.
I see. So it's been in your family except for that.
It was in the family, then it went out of the family.
Okay.
Now it's back in.
So Brian's great aunt, Vanola Modine, who lived here in the late 19-teens and early 1920s, had heard about date palms and figured she'd try growing some here. So she sent away for seeds, which arrived by rail on the old Tonopah and Tidewater Railroad. Oh my God, the Tonopah and Tidewater.
She drove up to Shoshone.
These are your family members. That's so interesting.
Yeah, this is my grandmother's younger sister. And so she went and picked them up and planted 2 rows of seeds. They were going to build a house down there, and eventually, unfortunately, about 3 years later, they had a tragedy. Her young son, 3.5-year-old boy, burned to death in a fire in a little cave down here.
Oh.
So they were distraught and eventually sold the property and moved.
Oh, that's why they moved.
Yeah. But her grandson, Matthew Modine, you may have heard of him, the actor.
Wait, so you're related to Matthew Modine, the actor?
I am.
How about that?
Yeah, actually, Matthew's related to me.
Oh, okay, yeah, of course, my bad. Well, Brian, I mean, you are a pretty interesting figure here locally.
I am the date king of Death Valley.
Well, and before that, you were a talc miner, and then you were the PE teacher and the superintendent and the science teacher at the school. You've worn a few hats in your day.
I have indeed. It's a hard place to make a living.
Thankfully, Bonnie convinced Brian they could make a living growing and selling dates. So he was able to quit all his other jobs and focus on being a farmer in Death Valley. Okay, I know that sounds like the punchline to a joke, but Brian and Bonnie really did turn those first few date trees into a successful family business. They opened a gift shop in 1996, and almost 30 years later, Brian is still harvesting the same delicious dates.
We bring the dates in from the field, just like this, and they're different varieties. You can see they're different colors, and then they put them on. This is a shaker table. We line it with wet toweling top and bottom.
Oh wow! Look at the shaker.
And then they go through the towel.
What is that doing? It's just shaking all the dirt off them, or what?
Well, and they're wet towel top and bottom, so they kind of fall in this tunnel.
Oh, so it kind of like scrubs them.
Yeah, it washes them.
Oh, okay.
And then they hit here, and then people sort them into 4 different grades, and we put bins here. So by the time they get here, we have the culls, the good ones, and the seconds.
Ah, what do you do with the coals?
They go to a lady in Pahrump who raises pigs.
Oh, are these coals?
Yeah.
Oh, no kidding. The pigs get to eat the coals.
Yeah.
Well,
exactly.
these look like good dates to me. Why were these cold? Okay, that like what, a coyote or something? Any part of that?
Bird, a raven. That's shriveled. It didn't develop properly.
Oh, okay.
This one didn't get all the way pollinated. I can tell by looking at it.
Oh. Do you eat a lot of dates, Brian?
I do. I still eat them.
Oh, good.
They're good for me.
Okay, according to Brian, the sugar in dates is bound up in fiber, so it doesn't hit your bloodstream as quickly, making date syrup a healthier choice for sweetening baked goods. I don't know much about chemistry myself, but I'll take his word for it. He is the date king of Death Valley, after all, and he sure does know a lot about dates.
So date trees are male and female date trees. Only the females put out the fruit. The males just produce pollen, but in order to get dates, you've got to have a male tree for every 40 to 50 female trees. It's kind of the harem system.
One male for every 40 to 50 females. Woo-hoo.
Yeah. But they also reproduce by putting out clone trees around their base. So with the dates, which have a seed in the middle, that's sexual reproduction. 2 different organisms, a male and a female, contributing genetic material. The clones, the little trees that come out around the base.
Oh, these are the clones.
That is asexual reproduction. It's one individual just passing copies of itself along.
Oh.
So these trees, they're very, very old trees. They're primitive plants. They predate dinosaurs.
Ooh.
And they have figured out how to reproduce in this severe climate. So they use 2 different strategies, sexual reproduction and asexual reproduction. In case there's not another date around, they can continue to pass their genes along, which is the name of the game.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes it's hard to get a date.
Yeah, exactly. And that dumb date joke 465.
Yeah. Hey, speaking of that, I feel like you told me once that people used to come down here thinking it was a brothel because it was a date ranch.
That's happened over the years. We've had carloads of guys that have obviously been drinking show up at the gift shop, hot to trot. They come in and they're like, what? They're confused, and when we tell them this little shriveled up brown thing is the only date you're going to get here, they kind of go slinking away.
Love it, because we are right on the Nevada border, and there are some actual date ranches not too far from here.
And for whatever reason, all the brothels are called ranches. I don't know why they did it. We're China Ranch, so people come here thinking, ooh, a hot time with Asian
exotic,
women.
yeah, an exotic brothel. Not the case.
In the springtime, the males and females flower. We go to the male trees. We collect the flowers and dry them and shake the pollen out of them.
Oh, so you pollinate these trees yourself?
We do.
How would it be done in nature?
It's wind.
Oh.
So
isn't it windy enough down here?
Not at the right time.
Oh.
And so we collect the pollen. We go up the trees and we dust all the female flowers with the pollen.
You climb up and you dust each one of those flowers.
It's section the trees, baby. That's how we start out every day in the springtime for about a month.
Okay, so why are these bags on them?
We put those wraps around because as they ripen and get soft and change colors, the birds attack them.
Meet me.
What about coyotes?
Oh, coyotes love them. Yeah.
So if they're like hanging down low enough, the coyotes will get them.
We just call it the wildlife tax. We don't shoot the coyotes or trap them. We cuss them a lot.
I bet you do.
And their families and everything. But they get some of them.
Okay, wow. I remember when I first came here, you guys had like all these weird old funky t-shirts and stuff hanging on, covering them.
We were too poor to actually go out and buy official date wraps, and so we went to the thrift stores in Pahrump, Nevada. They would sell us a hefty bag full of whatever random ugly clothes they couldn't even sell for $1. We'd bring that stuff home and slice it open and just use it as a big piece of cloth. So we would have large women's clothing works best, by the way.
Okay. Moo-moos and bathrobes.
We also sell the trees themselves for landscaping items into Las Vegas. In fact, there's a trailer over there right now that has some trees on it. So we sell little trees and...
So you're also like a nursery.
We are. These are some landscaping trees that we sold. These are going to Bullhead City, Arizona.
Oh, okay. So somebody from Bullhead City, how do people order stuff on your website?
We have a presence online.
Oh, okay.
It's called the shop and
let
us know what size trees they want. These are about 5 feet of trunk, and those are $700 a piece. We don't deliver, but they'll come here. We'll dig them up and load them and send them on
Wow,
the way.
no kidding. Well, this is like the only place in the area to buy date palms?
You can get them from nurseries in Las Vegas, but they're quite expensive.
I see.
So I told you these are $700 a piece here. If you get it at a nursery in Vegas, which they may or may not deliver, you're probably looking at $3,000 to $5,000.
Oh, wow. So you save a lot coming out here.
A lot of money. But
Drive a little, save a lot.
That's right.
Is it fun? Be honest.
Sometimes. Not so much in July and August when the horseflies are swarming around.
You have to be here all year round?
Yeah. There's a lot of the farm work that has to be done in the summer, unfortunately.
Do you get tourists that come out here in the summer?
We get some.
Because your gift shop is open year round?
It is. We cut back on the hours a bit, but we're open from 9 to 3, I think it is, in the summer months now.
And you guys do a mail order business all year as well, right?
Yeah, you can absolutely order. We're cooking every day.
Will you send like date bread and muffins and stuff?
Bread, muffins, cookies.
Okay.
The only thing we don't mail the date shakes. They don't travel real well. So
probably not.
No.
Okay, you definitely have to have a sense of humor to be a farmer in Death Valley. But even more than that, you need something that's pretty rare in the desert, and which happens to be something China Ranch has in abundance. Okay, wow, this looks like I'm in Mexico or something. There's like this little palapa. What's up here? What's going on?
That's right. Margaritas at 5, folks.
Okay. Oh, margaritas with date syrup. I know somebody who's made those, and they were good. Sure, this would be a great and very surreal place to sip a margarita on a hot day, but it's actually the key to Brian's whole operation. This spring-fed pond is where they get the water to irrigate the whole ranch. So keep that in mind before you drop trow and jump in.
It's not open to the public for swimming. You may come and look. You cannot swim in here, please. Okay.
Boy, all this water in the desert. This really is a true oasis.
Yeah, it is. China Ranch is a very special place, and ecologically it's a very important place, and we understand that and we respect that. And that's part of the work that we do here, trying to set an example by working with these agencies. You don't have to treat government agencies as the enemy. Often you have common goals, and so just make intelligent decisions that can work out for everyone.
Wow, when's the last time you heard a farmer say that? I found Brian's easygoing attitude somewhat surprising, but not as surprising as what he showed me next. A waterfall! Oh my gosh! How high is this waterfall?
Oh, it probably falls about 30 feet or so.
A 30-foot waterfall.
It's not a huge volume, but it's sure a beautiful little place.
It's just totally unexpected.
And we're not going to tell you exactly where it is. You're going to find it for yourself.
Wow, talk about coming from Hawaii. This is like a little piece of Hawaii.
Yeah.
In Death Valley. I've never seen anything like this.
It's pretty unique. It's a pretty beautiful little place. China Ranch is just a very special place and a lot of fun.
Boy, I'll say. And to really demonstrate how special this place is, next Brian took me up one of the trails that wind through his property. China Ranch has some absolutely epic hiking trails, including the one I did back in 2019 that takes you down along the old T&T railroad grade all the way to the brewery in Tecopa. But this time, Brian took me up to the top of a ridge overlooking the entire ranch, and it felt like we were on top of the world.
We're at the top of the world, but at the bottom of an ancient lake. All of these sort of melted ice cream looking hills you see, this is mud and sediment that settled at the bottom of a freshwater lake about 8 to 12 million years ago.
Was that Lake Tecopa?
No, this is a much older one. This is just a China Ranch basin or lake.
Oh.
So then conditions change and then the lake dries up. Now you've got a dry lake, and then the landscape gets tilted toward the Amargosa, so every time it rains it washes this soft sediment out of the bottom of this old lake. The softer stuff gets washed away first, and the more resistant stuff is what we're walking on here. So we're standing on top of a hill, a pile of old mud sediment that settled at the bottom of a freshwater lake about 9 to 12 million years ago.
Oh, wow. Yeah, these shapes are unbelievable. This landscape is really out of this world.
Yeah, people, good photographers, they love it and it's beautiful. They said it's a challenge though to try to sort of capture the wholeness of the place or the essence of it, because there's so many, all these cute little vignettes here and there.
Have you ever had anyone film a movie down here?
We have a few. In 2000, summer 2001, there was a Paramount Pictures filmed some desert scenes of a movie called The Sum of All Fears with Ben Affleck and Morgan Freeman.
How'd they find this place, do you know?
We advertised as a movie.
Oh, you do?
Location.
Oh, so you're open to as a location?
Sure. We're
cool.
open to happy and I mean, it can be the Middle East, it can be Afghanistan, it can be a...
Boy, it sure
could.
could.
The adobe house can be a Spanish casa, you know.
After taking me up to the overlook, it was time for Brian to get back to work, because the ranch doesn't run itself. But first, he invited me back to headquarters for the most important part of the whole tour. Date shake! Yes, sir! And that's like what most people come down here and do, right? People ride down here to get ice cream.
That's it.
And you have this beautiful gift shop and really amazing gardens, all these cactus.
Yeah, we planted it all.
Cool antiques. Look at that. Is that an old Model T?
Sort of.
Wow, cool. Thank you, Brian. We really appreciate the tour, but we appreciate getting a date shake maybe even more.
Well, come on in and we'll do that.
Ooh, yeah, look at all this date nut bread, muffins, cookies. Oh, you guys make dog treats?
Yeah.
Oh, how cute! Aside from treats of both the canine and human variety, the China Ranch gift shop is also stocked with all kinds of fun, funky Native American and desert-themed souvenirs and goodies. Everything from sage and crystals to books and t-shirts. But I was there for one thing. I'll have a date shake. Why not? Thank you, Sarah.
You're welcome, Sarah.
That's Sarah. Listen, Brian, thank you so much for giving us that tour. Anything else you want folks to know watching this video?
We're open year-round, 9 to 5. Come down and get a date shake, buy some trees, and just experience the place. It's a lovely place to be.
It sure is. Delicious. And always the best part about coming here. Although it was also really cool to get that private behind the scenes tour and learn more about the history of this place. Anyway, if you're looking for a fun, quirky, and tasty destination just outside Death Valley, only about an hour and a half from Las Vegas, come check this place out. And if you do, tell them I sent you.